Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is Vienna. I'm the creator and owner of Glitter Baddies Boutique, and today I'm going to show you guys how I use mica powders in my snow globe tumblers. So first you're going to need a double-walled tumbler. Today I'm going to be using the black lid tumbler from Crafty Cup Source. I wanted to show you the side-by-side comparison, comparing the Starbucks versus the Crafty Cup Source ones. They are almost identical. I absolutely love these cups. So we're going to go ahead and start by drilling our holes, and I'm using a 5/16 drill bit. You want to use a medium to light pressure and hold your cup firm. You don't want to crack through the tumbler. And 2 holes is not necessary, but I personally recommend it because it does help with airflow when we're adding our glitter. After you have your 2 holes drilled, go ahead and shake out any acrylic that may have fallen in, and then we're going to go ahead and clean our station off so we can move on to adding glitter. Glitter is definitely not required when making a mica powder tumbler, but for this one I'm going to add glitter. And I'm going to start by adding some distilled water in before adding any glitter in. This helps with clumping at the top. So the glitter I'm going to be using is Baby Got Black. It's from itsPrettyPersonalGlitter.com. All of the suppliers I'm mentioning will be listed below as always, and any discount codes I can pass along to you. So for this one I may have added just a little less glitter than I would have liked. You could definitely add a little bit more, but don't add too much because the mica powder is going to be the main focus in this snow globe. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my glitter, and this is the mica powder I'm using. Again, I will link it below. This one I got from Amazon. I was just trying to experiment with some mica powders, but this is the one I'm going to be using. It's called Graphite. It's a very like gray stonish kind of color with pearlescent shifts in it. And you're gonna go ahead and add it to your solution. I've already pre-mixed mine. It is 1/3 glue and 2/3 distilled water. Go ahead and shake it. You will see a lot of foaming, at least in my experience, and that is okay. I'm gonna show you guys how to get rid of those later on here in the video. You're gonna go ahead and fill up your tumbler about 3/4 of the way, halfway or so, to mix up the glitter. If you don't have any glitter, you can kind of skip this step and move on and just let it degas. You don't want to have any of that foam or micro bubbles in there. So I'm going to go ahead and temporarily plug my holes. I use paper towels and painter's tape and just plug up those holes so I can shake it like I am here. All that glitter is getting kind of clumpy. I may have also had my mix a little too thick in this scenario, but that's okay. We're going to work with it. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my surface, and before I let it degas, I'm going to also add some rubbing alcohol inside. This is going to help. You see all those bubbles right there? It's pretty bad. We want to try to get rid of those as much as possible in the beginning. Go ahead and spray some rubbing alcohol. You can see those just disappearing. And then we're going to go ahead and let that rest after we fill it up all the way, at least overnight or 24 hours, more if needed. So after I let it rest overnight, I come back to it the next morning. It looks pretty good, but you can still see some micro bubbles have lifted there. We're going to go ahead and cover one hole if you did 2. And you can see I tilted it. There is a huge gap of air, and that's because I filled it up as much as possible in the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and again drop some rubbing alcohol inside. That's going to help pop those micro bubbles that we see in the top there. And while I'm doing this, I'm tilting it. You can see that big gap of air right here and along the sides as I'm tilting it. This is one of the biggest tips I can offer when trying to fill up your snow globe all the way. So I'm tilting it, and I'm also filling it very slowly. You don't want to just start pouring it in. I'm taking my time with it, making sure that that gap of air is slowly decreasing. And if you notice, I'm not actually putting the spout of the sauce bottle directly into the hole. I'm kind of laying it along the edge, and again, slowly just pouring or dropping that solution back into the tumbler. And if you're working with 2 holes like I am, make sure that you are switching holes. I think it personally helps. It's what helps me, at least. Being able to work both sides definitely helps work as much of those bubbles out as possible. So once you have filled it to your liking and it is good to go, go ahead and clean your surface again. If you have been following along, you know that's another big tip I have, is making sure you clean along the way. And for my plugs, I use mini glue sticks. I don't heat them up. They're cold. I just cut them down to size. I go ahead and place them directly in my holes. Again, that drill bit size is a 5/16 and it fits the mini glue sticks perfectly. So after you've got them placed inside, go ahead and dry off your surface. This is really important when we are going back to seal these tumblers with UV resin. You need a completely dry surface. The UV resin I'm going to be using in this video as always, is my Resin Rockers UV resin. Again, will be linked below for you. I'm going to go ahead and drop just a couple of drops just over the holes. You want to make sure that the holes and the glue sticks are completely covered. And then I'm going to grab a lighter and just put a little bit of flame right over that UV resin. That's going to help pop those micro bubbles in the resin, which in the long term can cause leaking. That's usually my biggest problem personally. So after that's done, I'm going to go ahead and cure that for 120 seconds. I like to test if there's any leaks up front. So I touched it right when I pulled it out. If there's any water, that's going to tell me there's a leak. And if there's not, I go ahead and shake it. If there's no leaks, I'm going to go ahead and put it on paper. And then once I've left it on paper for at least an hour or so and all the glitter is settled, then I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next step, which is glittering the bottom. And I do pretty much the same process, lay down my UV resin, and then I'm going to mix in the glitter and the UV resin together. I use that Baby Got Black, just the micro version of it, to match the inside of the tumbler. And I mix it with a silicone brush that I got from Resin Rockers. You can also get these from Amazon as well. And here's where I realized that I did not put enough glitter, so I went back and added a little bit more. You want to make sure that the bottom is completely covered and even. So while I'm mixing, I'm also trying to spread it out and make sure that it is leveled with the tumbler. Once I am happy with that, this is how it looks. I'm going to grab my lighter again, just briefly put it over the UV resin. That's going to help not only level it out, pop air bubbles, but it's also going to help get a nice glossy finish at the end. I've noticed after I started doing the flame over the glitter initially, I noticed that the bottom was a lot smoother, and that way I don't have to use so much UV resin. So once I am happy with that, it's cured again for 120 seconds. I'm going to add my business logo with care instructions. You don't have to do that. I got these from Critter Cup Customs. I will link her Etsy below. Absolutely love these, especially when I have a darker glitter like this. That holographic still shines through. So after I have laid down my sticker, I'm going to go ahead and cover that with UV resin to seal that in. I'm going to repeat the process, smooth out my resin, pop any air bubbles with my lighter, cure it for 120 seconds, and you are done. And I've done this tumbler before, but I haven't done it with the Crafty Cup Source tumblers, and I'm super happy with how it came out. Again, this solution was a little thicker than I normally do. I might have just added a little bit too much glue, but I'm still happy with it. I love the pearlescent micas. You can really see that shimmer inside the water or the solution. And I did rhinestone the lid. I'm going to go ahead and do a tutorial on that separately so you guys can see how I did that. But I really like the effect. These rhinestones are from Crafty Cup Source as well. And this is probably one of my favorite ones for this year so far. But I hope this information was helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, join our Facebook group, and check me out on social media. Thank you guys so much for watching.